Chilean Patagonia, one of the most majestic places on the planet. A landscape of deep fjords, imposing glaciers, and unexplored mountains. This land of fierce winds, icy rivers, and impenetrable forests plays host to the toughest competition known to man. 56 adventurers from around the world will test themselves in an unforgiving wilderness. For 10 days, they will compete in the last wild race on the planet.
Stay up high, Dan!
Constantly changing weather and harsh terrain will push each team to the brink of exhaustion.
Where are we, Steven?
I have no clue.
14 teams will start this race, less than half will finish. This is the ultimate eco-endurance challenge. This is the Wenger Patagonian Expedition Race. Chilean Patagonia, a land of pristine beauty and majestic scenery. A region known for the Strait of Magellan, Tierra del Fuego, Torres del Paine, and the southernmost point of the Americas, Cape Horn. A land this wild attracts tourists and adventurers alike. Patagonia plays host to the wildest expedition race on the planet. Founder and director Stepan Pavicic started the Wenger Patagonian Expedition Race 9 years ago.
Chilean Patagonia is a really unique place in the world, and exploring it is my passion.
With over 25 years of exploring the Patagonian wilderness, his focus is putting on a truly wild race while showcasing and conserving Chilean Patagonia.
I created this race to show the world how wild and spectacular this territory is.
Stepan and his team spent the last year exploring every leg of the course. A course so remote, they have given names to uncharted valleys, glaciers, and mountains. Their preparation will take teams on a journey through the unknown, testing their mental and physical endurance. The top adventure racers from across the globe have made their way to the untamed territory of Chile for the 9th edition of the Wenger Patagonian Expedition Race. This year, 14 teams from 13 nations come together in Punta Arenas to prepare for the start. Teams go through mandatory gear checks and safety simulations to prepare for the race. Britain's Bruce Duncan and Mark Humphreys have seen it all before, winning the last 2 editions of the race. This year, Team Adidas' Terex Pernusco has only one goal in mind: to retain the Wenger Trophy.
We can win 3 in a row, that'd be absolutely awesome. And we've got a really strong team here, so just got to get out there and race our own race fast, race strong, and yeah, keep on going one step at a time. Every step's a step closer to the finish line.
One of the most interesting things about this race is the weather. We saw everything last year, from being hot to a snowstorm blizzard to 120-kilometer-hour winds, all happening very, very quickly. So it's pretty amazing, and we expect the same this year.
Team Gear Junkie, composed of 3 yoga teachers and a journalist, finished last year's race in 5th place. Team Gear Junkie fell in love with Patagonia. The race was so special, teammates Chelsea Gribben and Jason Magnus got engaged during the closing ceremony. They're back in full, trying to stop the Brits from a hack trick.
The goal this year for our team, number 1, is be on the podium at the end of the race. Everything comes into strategy. Like when you sleep, if you sleep, the clock is ticking the entire time. So every little decision we make, we know that can affect the outcome. 50% of the teams aren't going to finish. We're one of the teams that will.
Not everyone has come to Chile with a cohesive team. Four Continents' story has just begun, having only met through Facebook before arriving in Patagonia.
For this team, we haven't raced together, and for the first time only really met last night. We spent the last 2 months training on 4 continents, hence the name. Training in Kazakhstan, South Dakota, Czech Republic, and for me in North Queensland in the tropics.
While some teams are here for the competition, Team Dancing Pandas takes a different approach.
The way I connected with this team was in a bar over a few beers, and I realised that had a lot in common.
For our team, the goal is to have fun. We're a team, obviously, with a name like Dancing Pandas. We love to have a lot of fun, and we want to finish the race. The Patagonia Expedition Race is a wild race.
You choose how much time you want to spend sleeping or eating or moving or not moving. So it's not about going hard, it's just about continuous movement.
Team Eastwind from Japan returns determined to finish in a better position than last year. New member Kaori Waki and her team know there's one crucial factor that can end a race.
It's important that we focus on not competing with other teams, but focusing on ourselves in the long races. There are many difficulties and troubles. It's very important that teams stick together and we have really good teamwork.
The Wenger Patagonian Expedition Race lives up to the Olympic spirit. No prize money is awarded. Teams compete to exceed their own limits, to face Mother Nature, and for the honor of crossing the finish line first. Hotel Las Torres, a top destination for adventurers in Chile, is the starting line for this year's race. As teams prepare their gear, one team reflects. Perdido and Alterball returns to avenge their failure last year with a new crew and a stronger determination to succeed.
This race is extremely grueling.
We had to pull out of the race after 5 days. And I knew at that instant I had to come back to this race. There was some unfinished business for me to do. And that's really the goal for us, is to finish this race and finish it well and feel good at the end of this race. A leader in expedition racing is multifaceted. There's some decisions that need to be made that can't be done as a team, but sometimes just the leader has to either make the decision or push the team to excel.
Team Xingu came together to fulfill a dream and become the first Brazilian team to ever conquer the Wenger Patagonian Expedition Race.
We met each other in the Brazilian races. When we started talking to each other about races, we realized we all had one big dream, which was the Patagonian Expedition Race.
Also from Brazil, Selva and SK Kailash are determined to prove they have what it takes to compete in the wild.
Equipo Selva e SK Kailash tienen como 11 años. São militares. Não sei se habla isso, they are in Brazil.
A Patagonia Expedition, eu já penso nessa prova já há uns 6 anos.
Eu sei que é uma prova muito dura, muito fria.
Nosso treinamento em Brasil é totalmente diferente da região. Treinamos em região de Rose, a 40 graus positivo.
A clear day has graced the racers as they begin their epic journey through Patagonia.
Nos vemos en Paliaiki. Good luck!
In order to finish this year's competition, teams must navigate along Chile's southern continental icefield and go through 13 checkpoints, also known as PCs, spread over 600 kilometers using only basic maps and compass. The race begins with a mountain bike section through Torres del Paine National Park. Teams will race in the shadow of 3,000-meter tall massive granite formations, turquoise glacial lakes, and herds of guanacos. Once finished, teams will change disciplines and navigate the Gray and Serrano rivers in tandem kayaks. Still on the first day of racing, teams will start a strenuous trek tackling dense forests, frigid rivers, and imposing mountains, always in view of the glaciers. As teams arrive at the next transition point, they will kayak through Fiordo de las Montañas, a narrow fjord surrounded by steep rock cliffs and stunning glaciers. Having completed the second kayak stage, teams will begin an unprecedented 193-kilometer trek through twisted forests, glacial rivers, and squashy peat bog, rewarded by amazing views of the fjords. The final stage of the race will test racers mentally as they bike 188 kilometers across a dry and vast expanse of rolling grasslands. Teams will end the race in the volcanic national park of Paliaiki. Only one team will cross the finish line first and claim victory over a hardened field of competitors. As teams bike through the scenic trails of Torres del Paine, they are forced to contend with nature's first test of their abilities. Some teams are forced to take refuge from fierce winds, attempting to stop their progress. Patagonian weather can change at any moment, and less than 2 minutes after the teams were halted, the storm is over and the sun is shining once again. Team Eastwind, halted by the strong winds, abruptly stops to fix a problem with one of their bikes. While some teams experience technical issues, Team Gear Junkie is the first to arrive at PC1. Many teams are close behind Gear Junkie. Roadrunners, Perdido, and Vaucluse from France all finished the bike section within 30 minutes of the leaders. Because of malfunctions with two of their bikes, the Brits have fallen to 5th place, almost an hour behind the leaders.
Time is, at the moment, it's pretty irrelevant. We're only a few hours in over a 7-day race. 20 minutes is nothing. We know from experience that it's the trekking that makes all the difference.
I was in the middle of the sandstorm, dived for the ground to protect myself, but the stones were coming through the holes in the helmet so hard and impacting on my head that just grabbing the handlebar of the bike and just diving off the road.
PC1 is the race's first transition point. Here, racers switch disciplines from biking to kayaking. Preparation is essential for these checkpoints. Having a fast transition is crucial so teams can keep their momentum going on the course. Most teams move swiftly through the PC, but Four Continents got more than they expected during the first leg of the race.
We got blown off the bikes 20 feet in the air.
20 feet?
Our girl was blown 20 feet in the air, her bike went past me and she was badly injured. It just picked us all up and blew us backwards 2 teams. There were bikes flying in the air, we were flying in the air, and I was dragged along the ground.
Oh my God. You alright? Ow.
Because of injuries from the bike section, Four Continents is the last team onto the water. Halfway through the kayak section, teams encounter unpassable rapids and are forced to portage around nature's barrier. The stronger teams finished the kayak leg in under 5 hours. The Brits used their superior skills to gain back time lost during the biking section and are now in first place. Their strategy for the next section is clear.
Just crack on, get as much done in daylight as we can, and our main aim is if we can get out of here before another team comes along.
As one team takes off into the trekking section, many more have just arrived and need to repack their gear before they follow into the night.
Yeah, and we saw the Brits. They left about 10 minutes ago maybe now. They have an awesome paddling team this year.
Our strategy now is to just keep pushing really hard and go fast. We might catch a few hours of sleep tonight. The
depending on the terrain. If the terrain's good, we'll push through.
Team Gear Junkie sets their aim on catching the leaders, while the Danish team follows closely behind. Kaori Waki from Team Eastwind is already facing some difficulties in her first expedition length race.
I think we're gonna have to stop. It's really difficult to keep up my pace with the other guys because they're faster. Captain, I think he will decide if we're gonna keep going all night or not.
Bye.
With all teams through PC2, everyone will face difficulties as they attempt to traverse dense forest throughout the night. Early into the second day of the competition, the Brits are the first team to reach PC3, a hidden jewel of stunning glaciers and icebergs. Captain Bruce Duncan has only one question before they move on.
No one else has been through yet, hey?
No.
Just want to crack on and get to the food at the next checkpoint.
Camp this first canyon.
Teams arriving at PC3 have a mandatory cutoff time at 3 p.m. on the second day of the race, and the majority of the teams pass through without problems.
Hey!
3 teams fail to meet the cutoff time and are disqualified. DAP, Joshikin, and Zengu are the first casualties of the 9th edition of the Wenger Patagonian Expedition Race.
Falta quizás mucho más entrenamiento para afiatarnos como equipo y poder rendir mucho más en conjunto.
É uma tristeza por não conseguir continuar vendo tudo que a gente estava vendo. É uma prova muito bonita e a gente tem que parar, não tem o que fazer. Mas o que conforta é o que a gente passou até agora, né? Algumas experiências, inclusive para a corrida de aventura, muito boas.
It's really deep.
11 teams spend the next day alternating between trekking, sleeping, and eating. When traversing unknown lands, racers are often faced with a fourth option: swimming.
That's a hell of a way to wake up. We just know we're not in first because I saw some big ass footprints between Bruce's up here somewhere.
The toughest part of the race that we've encountered so far is probably some bushwhacking. We'd obviously like to make the kayak cutoff by 6 o'clock tonight and get on the water and get a couple hours in. for the dark zone, but if that doesn't happen, you know, we'll take our rest overnight and we'll be raring to go in the morning.
During the day, more teams pass through the river. Most surprisingly is the method of crossing, fully clothed.
Line, hunt.
Oh my God, that's cool!
Hours ahead of the competition, the Brits are the first to arrive at PC7.
Do you know what the weather forecast is?
The forecast?
The weather?
I don't know, but
So you having a
it
run?
can change in a few hours.
Right.
Ready?
Do it.
Gracias.
Good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Team Gear Junkie, currently in second place, left PC6 12 hours behind the leaders. Along the way, they took a risky route to catch up with the British. Now arriving at PC7, their risk has paid off. They have significantly closed the gap. Excited by their 5-hour time gain, Gear Junkie discusses cutting short the suggested trekking route by free climbing a 200-meter cliff.
Like if we go the short way, it's like 4 or 5K. It's there or there.
Oh yeah, big time.
It's half, if less. If 1, 2, 3. It's as the crow flies, it's like 4K.
Mark, come here, careful.
Many teams have suffered during the heavy rainfall, yet some racers, like the Danish team, have a surprisingly upbeat attitude.
Another day in the nice climate of Patagonia, where every bush tries to beat you.
Of this trek, when we walked along the beach and then found out that we couldn't continue, and we had to go up again. That was not funny. Yeah, we just thought time is going, so.
Made it.
Team Perdido arrives at PC7 thinking they've missed the cutoff.
Yeah, we missed the cutoff. Just made a string of bad decisions and couldn't recover from it. So yeah.
Welcome to PC7.
Okay.
Wait, are you letting us go?
Yeah.
Not realizing their mistake with the time, they leave PC7 as fast as possible. Back at PC6, 2 teams missed the cutoff time and have been disqualified.
Estava com progressão normal para terminar a carreira, mas não tinha tempo para progressão normal, tinha que ser mais rápido.
Não, foi a melhor experiência porque nunca fizemos uma prova que não tinha trilha. E foi bem difícil. Para conseguir uma posição aqui nessa prova, você tem que vir pelo menos 1 ou 2 vezes para ter experiência para voltar.
I knew in my heart, I said, well, realistically, you will not be able to finish 191 kilometers of trekking.
There are some people who would say that this race is insane, and there are also some people who would say that entire adventure racing is insane. So we could start.
The other one's coming out as well.
Oh my God! What happened there? Oh, yuck!
Not only you dropped out the race, man, you twisted as well.
All the peanuts.
Too much peanuts.
Oh my God!
Team Adidas Terex Pernesco arrives at PC8. It took them 7 hours to cross the mountains. The Brits don't waste their time and make a quick transition onto the second kayak stage in the race. Team Gear Junkie, desperately trying to catch the Brits, decided to take an unusual course. When they left PC7, they were 7 hours behind the leaders. Coming into PC8, they've made up 2 hours and are only 5 hours behind the Brits. Teams are not allowed onto the water after 10 p.m., so Gear Junkie is forced to spend the night at PC8.
We have these little tiny thermarests and we just blew them up. I don't know who came up with the idea, but we just decided to blow them up and lay on them. And it just kept us out of the water just enough. And we ended up swimming probably 1.5 kilometers just around the headlands, just laying on them and way out in the ocean, just paddling. So, not recommended.
At PC7, one team is dangerously close to missing the next cutoff time, but that's not the most important thing on their mind.
I've got a hypothyroid, so I need medication for it, and I lost it in the woods.
And do you have any in your bag, your food bag in the PC8? Nothing. Can you continue the race without it?
I mean, I'll do it, no problem. I've done stranger things.
We ferried, kayak capsized, and we had the maps in the bag because the pack was on there as well, and our maps went out into the lake. We took high resolution macro digital photos of them, which was a bit of a mission, but it worked because we got here. But
I think that this race is pretty crazy. It's very it's a lot of suffering. Just when you think you've seen it all, there's some new thing. That's just how this race goes, and it's great, you know, and I love it. But it's truly insane. We just heard we have a 10 o'clock tomorrow morning cutoff to do the kayak. It's kind of silly to jump into a glacial river up to our necks and then climb a mountain in the dark.
I never want to quit, so I'm not saying I want to quit.
Gear Junkie has gotten a full night's rest and starts the second kayak leg of the race. As they prepare to leave, more teams are arriving into PC8 for a chance to change clothes and refuel on food. While most of the teams remaining in the race are starting on a kayak section, the leaders are getting off the water in PC9. The next 193-kilometer trek, a labyrinth of unexplored valleys and fjordlands with avatar-like forests, will put racers to the ultimate test. In typical fashion, the Brits make a quick transition and are back out on the course. Teams are trekking between PC9 and PC11. So far, this has proven to be the most difficult section of the race.
Where are we, Steven?
Woohoo!
fantastic. Ah, it's good.
Beautiful paddle.
Nice, really nice paddle.
Dancing Pandas was the last team to make it through PC8, but they missed the cutoff time at PC9 and have been disqualified. Team Gear Junkie is set on catching the leaders and again resorts to drastic measures.
Ready, guys?
Ready.
We are floating down a river in the middle of Patagonia on our thermarest pads and our dry suits, about as far from civilization as it is humanly possible to get.
Kokata and thermarest are our favorite.
This is the bushwhacking that we otherwise would have to do. Pretty funny.
Stay up high, Dan. Yeehaw!
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! This is hilarious.
The Brits are the first to arrive at PC-11. It took them 54 hours to complete the first 82 kilometers of this section.
You move so slow in the bush. We've worked it out, we're averaging like 1.5k an hour.
I mean, the weather was a lot better, wasn't it, last year?
It's rained a lot this year.
Yeah, last year it was, the first track was, it was tough, but it was, nothing compared to this year.
The scenery here is just like our fantasy dreamland scenery. It's perfect. You've got glaciers and mountains and lakes and ponds and the sea and forests. It's just like everything you could ever want all rolled into one.
It's full on, I mean, it is a full on wild adventure out here.
With weather conditions deteriorating, the river crossings on this leg of the trek have become dangerous to the racers. From Ramota Hotel, the organizational headquarters in Puerto Natales, race director Stepan Pavicic opts to neutralize teams, awaiting better weather conditions. Gear Junkie arrives in second place at PC-11, 12 hours behind the leaders. Not being able to locate PC-10, they did not check in and pushed on to PC-11. Because of an impassable river, teams Eastwind, Perdido, and Roadrunners are helicoptered to PC-10.